how to dominate the SDR role right out of the gate. If you're a current SDR, an incoming SDR, or considering that SDR sales development role, these are my 5 best tips to help you get off to a strong and fast start right as you get in seat. I've worked in tech sales for 5 years and I'm currently an SDR manager, and these are the 5 things I consider to be the order of operations, or PEMDAS if you will, if you remember that pesky acronym, of what it takes to start strong in an SDR role. And if you get these 5 things right, you're gonna be ahead of 99% of SDRs. So before I go into detail, the 5 things are strong account executive alignment, a strong, confident prospecting mindset, strong assumptive language, efficient processes in place to help you move faster, and then proper preparation for those meetings. So notice how I use that word strong a lot, but I'll go into detail on each of these. So the first one, and there's a reason I put this first because it is not taught enough, is you need to nail that relationship with your account executive. Your account executive, or executives, you might have more than one, is typically who you will share the territory with, and they're responsible for closing revenue while you're more responsible for setting meetings and driving net new pipeline. So the reason this is so important is, one, because they've been successful at the company. Typically, they've been there for a while and oftentimes started in your role. They know what it takes to be successful. They know the territory inside out. They can point you in the right directions. But a big mistake a lot of reps make is they don't invest in this relationship. They kind of expect that their account executive will just coach and help them, but you should not expect that. While that's the hope that they're gonna wanna be a mentor, oftentimes they come in different flavors. Some will be much more receptive, others will be more difficult to work with. And while in a perfect world, they're all great coaches and mentors, the truth is they're often expected to work with you, but not obligated to work with you. They're more obligated to their metrics and their KPIs closing revenue. So if they're doing that and they don't see the need for an SDR, they're usually not gonna be beat on the head to go work with the SDR. So the key is you need to set a weekly cadence with them at a minimum, and not just that, you need to bring value to every meeting. That's the key piece most SDRs miss, is they show up to these meetings with a blank stare, and while that's fine in the beginning, although it shouldn't even happen at all, if you continue to just show up with a blank stare, not bringing a point of view, not bringing value, and just waiting for them to tell you what to do, they're ultimately gonna determine the juice is not worth the squeeze and just focus on doing all that stuff yourself. So the littlest things, do this with your manager. Come with a viewpoint, come with accounts that you think you should target, personas that you think you should target. Just come with a viewpoint so that they aren't just having to tell you what to do. They can either say yes or they can say no and point you in the right direction. Give them something to work with, because then they see, oh, this person's trying to get better, and if I invest in them, they'll invest back in me and get better over time. So don't just expect that they're gonna work with you. 2 is these are great mentors to learn from too. Typically, they've been very successful in seat. Oftentimes, they've been in the industry 5, 10 years plus. They can really accelerate your career, and often these are the people you actually learn the most from, even beyond your manager sometimes. So invest in that relationship, because not many people get the opportunity to work with people that experienced in the industry. Next is a confident prospecting mindset. So a lot of people struggle with the idea that we're just pesky salespeople, sleazy salespeople, sayings like that stick in their mind, and they feel like we're bothering prospects. And I try and coach that out of reps as soon as possible, because it's the exact opposite. We're actually valuable to these prospects. So many of these companies have initiatives that they need to get going on, where it's like in the company, they're like, how does it take this long to get this information that I need? How does that take me 3 weeks? And when I get it, it's usually wrong or inaccurate, or the data's patchy at best. That's where we come in as tech salespeople of like, yeah, you have a problem. I understand your problem. Here's how we can fix it. And I'm the type of person that can help get this done. You can actually add a lot of value to not only their company, but these people's careers. If they take on a project with you and you help them build a business case and ultimately invest in whatever you sell, and it actually helps their business, it can lead to promotions for a lot of these people. A lot of these people are just procrastinating, and oftentimes they don't fully trust that the salesperson knows how to get their problem solved or actually understands their role. But when they can tell, oh, I have a competent salesperson on my hands, they know they have an asset. They have someone that they can work with to help it potentially advance their career if they get a good project done. So just know that you are actually valuable to these people. And once you get them on these discovery calls, you'll see they typically get some value out of the meeting. Even if there's no next step, it's like, oh, good to meet you, good to talk to you. Now I got your name and contact if I need something in the future. So get that mindset out of your head. We're not bothering people. It comes across, I see it in language where people say, would you possibly maybe be available next week, because you don't want to bother them. So I coach, get that mindset straight, because it will come across in your language. Third is, now that we got that mindset down, I want to coach reps on that strong, assumptive messaging. So you want to eliminate some of that optional passive sounding language I was talking about, where would you maybe possibly be available next week if you're interested. Another thing I tell reps is you want to sound like a sales development representative, not a customer service representative. So a lot of people come in not realizing it, but sounding like a customer service representative, where they say things like, would you possibly be interested next week and I can assist you in showing our solutions, or something like that. They talk like customer service representatives that are just here to serve only if they're interested, and if they need something, you're here to answer questions. When in reality, it's the opposite. We're the sales development representative that knows about problems oftentimes they don't have, because we're day to day focused on their role, their persona, what their challenges are, and how we've helped other similar people in similar types of companies. So you want to have that strong assumptive messaging, which sounds like, I'm looking to set up some time next week, or let's set up some time next week. Are you free Wednesday or Thursday? These are just small examples. I have many in-depth examples in other videos, but the small tweaks, you want that strong assumptive messaging, sales development representative, not the passive optional customer service representative sounding language. So that's number 3. Number 4, now that we've got account executive alignment, a confident mindset, strong messaging in place, now it's about putting efficient processes in place and moving faster so that you can scale and get out more quality, strong assumptive messaging to more targeted personas. The more of that you can do, the more shots on net you give yourself. So the first way to do that is, if you're lucky enough to work at a company that has invested in some of these sales automation tools like Sales Navigator, Zoom Info, Sales Loft, there's tons of them. Take full advantage of those. Look up YouTube tutorials on how to get the most out of those, because those can drastically scale your operations and help you get more high quality messaging in the hands of more target personas. So that's one. If you're lucky enough, use those tools. Number 2 are your actual day-to-day schedule sales processes. So have time blocked off for cold calls, for emails, and have a consistent process every day, so that when you wake up, you're not wondering what to do. You know what to do, and it's just about executing. So that could be emailing for the first hour of the morning from 8 to 9, or cold calling from 8 to 9 and emailing later in the day. I don't really have a strong opinion on the best times to cold call or the best times to email. I think the best times are whatever you will actually hold yourself accountable to and follow consistently. But have that process in place so that you know what to do each week and you can tweak and improve on it over time. And then fifth, the final thing is, once you've got the strong messaging and you've scaled using efficient processes, you're going to see the meetings start to trickle in. Now it becomes preparing for those meetings properly. And this is oftentimes where you'll actually learn the most, working with your account executive on preparing for these meetings. What company are we meeting with? Who are we meeting with? What type of persona? What solution are we proposing? Those are the types of things you want to be thinking about. So the categories I break down meeting preparation into, and I have a more in-depth video on this, is company understanding of how they make money in their industry, persona understanding of who you're meeting with and what their typical challenges are. You can often find this on their LinkedIn or on company job postings for that role. And then third is solution understanding of what solution you're aligning to this and how it solves those pains at both the persona and the company level. So if you're doing all these 5 things, you are going to be miles ahead of the average SDR who doesn't know about this stuff and has to figure it out as they come into seat. So you want to be aware of these 5 things. And the last thing I'll say is, so many reps focus on pipeline and opportunities, and that's what they think about on a day-to-day, but that stuff is a lagging indicator of all these variables that I just mentioned. It's a lagging indicator of how well you work with your account executive, of how confident of a mindset you have, of whether you have strong assumptive messaging, of whether you're using efficient processes in the sales tools at your disposal, and whether you're preparing for meetings properly. If you're doing those 5 things, the opportunities will take care of themselves. So don't focus on the opportunities, focus on the leading indicators, which are these key 5 tips. So Hopefully this opened your mind to some stuff. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.